liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. The meeting will please come to order. We do have to posting in accordance with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code is amended, known as the Texas Open Meeting Act. Any members of the public who wish to speak shall each have 5 minutes. Jerry, did you want to speak this morning?
No, I'm not prepared. Just up here.
All right, fine. I know Jerry and I have been talking about an issue that he has questions about, and I didn't know if you wanted to speak, so I wanted to give you that opportunity. Anyone else? All right, if not, then we'll go into our regular meeting. I think budget workshop will be kind of long. You want to come back to that at the end? All right, let's do item number 2, which is to approve the sale of 1993 M35A3 Army cargo truck and funds, Southern Oaks Volunteer Fire Department. And I believe the issue is that the truck might, there she is, we're talking about the truck. Oh, we've already done budget review.
Good. Okay, so the Southern Oaks
We're doing the truck first.
Okay, Southern Oaks Volunteer Fire Department want to sell their truck. It is it's a 1993 Army cargo truck and fund, and then we need to discuss, you know, if we want them to have the funds. They're selling it for, I think, about $11,000.
And you want, the county had put some funds
We
into
put,
it.
yes, we purchased it, and there, it was donated, but yet we still had to pay like $3,000, and then we equipped it, we bought a bunch of equipment to put on it. So, we reimbursed Southern Oaks for all that.
Can I see a picture of that truck?
Yes.
What size tank is on that truck?
Does it say what size tank it is?
Let's see.
You wouldn't know anything about the truck, I know. I mean, you
Send
might.
out a text real quick.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like 1,000 gallons, if I wasn't mistaken. It's a big one.
Yeah, it didn't say.
It doesn't matter. I'll just figure
Okay.
it's 2,000 gallons.
And the discussion then is where the funds are gonna go. Are they
Yes.
gonna go back to the county into the funds? Or how's that gonna go?
Or, if, however they want to do it, or do they want to just let the Southern Oaks Volunteer Fire Department have the money, split it with us, or?
I just make a motion to let them sell it.
Yeah, and they keep the money.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. All right. Item number, the next item is to award the insurance bids. You want to go forward with that? At this time?
All right. Well, just so you know, my name is Daniel Anderson. I'm here for Brian. I know y'all all visited with Brian a few times. And I'll be walking you all through all the different options of candidates. Just a little bit about me. I've been with ANCO for 15 years. I've been in the business for 18 years. Anybody else want a copy of this? Yes, please. All right. Anyway, so as y'all know, we were asked to go out to see what's in the open market, to see what, to make sure the county can make the best decision for the county as well as their employees. And that they deal with TAC, and Orlando's here from TAC, and TAC's a wonderful company. They do a lot of wonderful things. But let's start, flip over, there's a spreadsheet, because I know y'all seen some of this, so I don't want to try to just run around and do it too much. keep it too long. So your tax renewal, you've seen it, right? You've seen where the numbers are on
A
it.
couple of us have, but.
Couple of us have.
Other commissioners have not.
Okay, all right.
They weren't here when we came over.
So if you see this first spreadsheet, the current plan is on the left side, the renewal plan is on the right for each one of your tax plans. Okay? I believe last year, y'all contributed $895 a head, correct, towards the employee on their insurance, correct? Am I right on that? I think so.
What was the exact?
$895.
$895?
Yeah,
It was somewhere around that.
I think $895. So basically, on this middle plan is where the majority of your enrollment is, the $2,500, 80%, $4,350 out of pocket. That seems like that's where about 85 to 90% of your enrollment's at. And I did the math on some of the other spreadsheets as I get to them. But just to give you a little bit, that's a little tag, that's Blue Cross's network. Y'all been with them forever, they're very familiar. They're a really large network. It's an excellent carrier. Okay, so, but the increase, we tried to work with TAG. They unfortunately couldn't bring the rates down anymore from where the renewal is, so the renewal rates are set where they are. Okay? So, when I show you these other options in the market, are the things to consider for the commissioners that y'all to consider, I'll show you what it looks like, and then you can make the best educated decision that you can. Okay? But the county paying $895, if you were to stay paying $895, and I know that's a little over what that $866 is, what the plans were last year, you're probably going to have to get somewhere to stay the same, around $947 of a contribution to have $29 over what that middle plan is, to have somewhere roughly around the same thing for the employees. Does that make sense, everybody? A little bit. That kind of just gives you apples to apples. If you pay over that $918 on that middle plan, to keep that $29 that you have overage to go towards other stuff. Okay, if they want to buy dental or vision or other tiers in their contribution. That just gives you kind of a number to go off of. Okay, that 947. Now, let's go ahead and flip over to this curative quote. This is one of the markets that came back in. We had curative, Scott and Mike, United Healthcare, and then some alternates I'll show you. The curative quote, I would say something like they're very aggressive. The numbers changed just a hair, but they gave you all that 2-year rate guarantee with these numbers, that they won't move for 2 years. Now you gotta remember, Curative is the first health network, so it's not as strong a network as Blue Cross is, okay? That's something I would consider. But the numbers are substantially lower. They're $685 per employee. In the tier, yes, ma'am.
What does that mean, not as strong?
They're not as large. It's First Health, it's a large network. It's just not as large as Blue Cross.
Not as large.
Not as large, yes, ma'am.
Does that mean not as many physicians will accept it?
That's true, that is true. Not to say that not everybody here, I believe y'all may have looked at a bunch of them with Brian, I think everybody here was a network. But I'm just, in general, there could be a specialist here or there that may be out of network with Curative. Okay.
But now, I think he looked at the Palestine area, at Mahia, at Waco, and Tyler, and all of the ones that we saw or asked about were in that network.
Yes, ma'am.
These networks.
As well as Fairfield, too.
Yes.
Guevara Regional Hospital,
I would have to look, to be honest with you, I don't have the network.
because there's people go there.
Do you remember if we looked at there? I can't remember.
But, I mean, this is one alternative, there's another alternative I'm gonna show you that I think you would consider as well. I want to go through this first. So,
Sure.
the curative rates are substantially lower, it is a 2-year rate guarantee. The only thing that I could see causing more of an issue than network, honestly, would be pharmacy. Pharmacy, it works fine, but you gotta use HEB or you gotta use a mail pharmacy. So the local pharmacy, if you've got one, it's not gonna be a network. And I can see in a small town that might cost some
Is
issues.
it right here on security? That's your
That is curative,
Still talking about
yes.
that?
Still talking about curative, yes, sir.
But now, if we do mail-in, how quickly would you send those?
They say they'll be there within 48 hours. I mean, obviously, you can't control the mail sometimes, right? But that's a recommendation.
Or you can pick them up,
Or
pick
you-
it up at
Or you
HEB?
can pick it up at HEB, yes, ma'am. It's an excellent plan, it's an excellent quote, I mean, but you gotta know, make sure you understand exactly what you're looking at, and what it may be. If people are used to it, it works great, like in Austin and Dallas, Houston, that kind of stuff, it works phenomenal, a lot of people have it. We don't have any problems with it, but here, I mean, honest, the pharmacy would be the only thing that might would.
Yeah.
Everybody have to have right here.
You got to say, kids, you ain't got time to go to my.
But you also got to consider, if you do your Zoom biometric screening, everybody basically gets a zero deductible, zero out of pocket. So that's saving just on your middle, let's just use your middle plan as an example where everybody's at, that's $2,500 plus $4,350 for out of pocket math. So that would make everybody go to not cost them anything for their major medical except for specialty prescriptions.
Okay, if they, that's on this one we're looking at.
That's on the one
If
you're
they
looking
do that, what do we call it?
If they do a biometric, which is basically a Zoom health
The Zoom
assessment.
meeting, if they do the Zoom meeting, then it's, whether it's co-pays or anything else, it's zero for all the employees.
Yes, ma'am, all,
Everything.
except for specialty drugs, there's like 2 tiers of specialty drugs, are up $50 and $100, something like that. They have it on here. Yes, it's 50 and 100. So besides special, everything else would go to zero. Okay, but again, it's a wonderful quote. It's, you know, $680, it's $200 something dollars a head cheaper all the way down. So it's an excellent quote and it's guaranteed for 2 years, but it's got some of its issues, so make sure you understand as well. All right. Does anybody have any questions? It's a pretty basic plan. It's pretty simple.
And that's just one plan, right?
Just one
Everybody
plan.
gets the same plan? And then
Everybody gets the same.
what's the difference between PPO and PPO plus?
The PPO Plus is just a little bit of extended network than their Fertel network. Okay.
And then you're talking about the Zoom. Now, there are things that you cannot do appointment-wise on Zoom, right?
Well, the Zoom, when I'm talking about the Zoom meeting, that's just for everybody to do their health assessment.
Oh, okay.
To get to that zero deductible.
So that's
Because-
not like the telemed.
No, ma'am, that's total, they have telemed, and that's all covered at zero too. That's just, this is something additional that everybody would need to do to get to that zero deductible, zero out of pocket. Because if they don't, they're gonna be with the $5,000 deductible. Okay? That's, it requires some work. Yes, ma'am.
So, like hospitalization, it's a $5,000 deductible?
Only if you don't do your health assessment. If you do your health assessment, it doesn't cost you anything.
Okay, it'd be no deductible.
No deductible, yes, ma'am. No copay, besides the special drug.
Okay.
It's a unique plan, it's, you know, it's really intuitive, it's something that's newer, right? You know, not to say it's the best fit right now, but once we go through all this stuff, but it's a unique option to consider, and we'll continue to get better and better as they've been around all the time, right? So it's just, that's how it works.
And ANCO will be responsible for making sure everybody does their health assessment?
Yes, ma'am, and they, the carrier will do, they'll reach out to everybody individually and making sure they do. Obviously, you can control everybody, so I'm not gonna be the one to say that I can make everybody do it, even though that's on them a little bit too. Yes, ma'am.
Is that annually? Will that be done every
It
year?
will need to be done every year, yes, ma'am. Because what they're doing is they're rewarding you for doing your screening. I believe in that process, they believe that doing biometric screening can help prevent some of the large shock claims that are happening, diagnosis of heart attack or cancer or whatever it may be, just by simple biometric screening. Are they 100% correct with that? I don't know, but it could prevent from some things happening, right? Just by people going to the doctor that don't ever go to the doctor.
And that would be a plus for our employees, finding out something about their health that they might not have known. You know, before, whenever I can't remember what it was, that we had to, everybody had to, do something on the computer, so we had to set it up in your office, and everybody came in and did their little thing. Was that for insurance or what?
I think that was that cybersecurity that well, there was something at one time that,
Yeah.
they could do it, yeah.
So we probably have to facilitate that somewhat for people who
Yep.
needed it to come in and do an assessment. So,
Yes, ma'am.
okay, I got you. All right.
And we can work with that, but I just want you to know everything, all the pieces of the puzzle, okay, so y'all can make the best decision possible, okay? All right.
So every family member would have to do a Zoom. I mean, it's
If
like.
they're over 18 and on the program.
Yes, ma'am.
But it's just a short little thing where they ask you questions, as I understand it, and
Yes, that is true, 100%, yes, ma'am. But it is unique, I mean, it's a unique solution. Okay. Now, let's skip over the next page. United Healthcare quoted this directly as well before we look at the combo plan. To be honest with you, it is a good quote, but if I were considering, I wouldn't consider this alternative. I would skip over to the next page, and the next page would be the alternatives that I would consider. Okay. And I just did rough math, but if you look, I use your current plan that you have, most of the enrollments on this $2,500 plan, even though y'all got 5 tiers of plan, and the pricing on that. So what I did is I took UHC's best network, it's their Choice Plus network, which is the largest network they have. So probably 95% of the doctors will be in that, so there won't be much interruption between moving for Blue Cross UHC. There's going to be a random specialist somewhere that doesn't take United Healthcare. I mean, that's just, if you ever switch carriers, there's going to be some type of interruption maybe with somebody, right? But if you look at this very first plan, they updated the rates. Actually even updated them all the way till last night. But this combination of plan, to keep it really simple, and I'll show you the breakdown, it takes your rates to $850 for an employee, and then it tiers all the way down, okay? What it gives you is it gives everybody a zero deductible, zero out of pocket for the year, okay? It doesn't cost anybody anything to go to the doctor. And how that works is you've got United Healthcare's plan, they've got a high deductible plan, then you've got all that bells and whistles that come with that, but you also have something called nonstop health. It's a Visa card, it's a Merck, and what that means is, what they do is they fully pair with the plan, and all that's already included in the pricing, but they pair it together to create a zero deductible, zero out of pocket. Okay, so you have a fully loaded Visa card, or every person would be, that you would go, let's just say, let me give you an example, you go to Health Point, or whatever, you go to the doctor, and they charge you $100. Once they charge you $100 off the insurance, $100, you just take your Visa card, and you swipe it, you pay for it. Okay? Now, things they won't pay for, like Botox, Advil, Tylenol, Band-Aids, you know, what people may try to do, it's going to flag that, not pay for that, it's because it's a medically coded card. The combination of the two plans, and as far as interruption, if that's something that was considered and decided to do, it would be really, really nice. Because not just you're saving the county money, because you're saving, I use it off the 918, but in reality, it's probably just apples to apples what you have, 947 versus 850. So it's almost $100 a head that you would save versus your renewal for that $2,500 plan. Then you're also saving everybody $2,500 and $4,350 out of pocket on themselves, right? Because they're going to be fully loaded for the deductible out of pocket, even for the family, the kids is included in that as well. And I'm going to show you how the nonstop works. I'm going to flip over to another page and show you the funding and how it comes together. But if you look at it, it saves the county money, and it saves all the employee money, and it saves everybody on the out of pocket. Not to say that, you know, there could be any kind of issues, but it's really, really, really nice plan to consider. Does anybody have any questions regarding that? Exactly how that, I know you've made, or some of you have heard it.
So I guess if you've got that card, does that mean you can go see any doctor you want to?
You're going to still use United Healthcare's open access network. It's United Healthcare network. The card has nothing to do with the network, right? It's literally just to pay the bill. That's all it is. It's not like a card or a gap plan that pays the providers directly or any of that kind of stuff. You just have a Visa card that's fully loaded and that you're going to pay your bills with. That's it. After they run through the insurance. Okay. So whether it's a go at the doctor or your pharmacy or if it's a full charge for MRI, you just swipe and pay for it.
If the card runs out of money, then what happens?
Well, if the card runs out of money, United Healthcare should be at 100% by then. So then it's going to pick up everything else. As long as you stay in network, right? Like just with any insurance plan, you've got a in-network plan and an out-of-network plan, right? So there'll be different out-of-pockets for the out-of-network plan, but you need to try to stay in network. Just like with your Blue Cross, you would prefer to stay in network.
Right, people here in this network, that he talking
Yes.
about?
This network will be, everybody will be in. There might be a random dermatologist or podiatrist or somebody that doesn't take it, but in general, 95% of the doctors will be in this network. It's going to be a substantially larger network than the curative plan that I showed you earlier. Not that it's not large either, but it's larger network than that. It's where the state had United Healthcare for a long time.
If you're somewhere and you go to the emergency room, you get hurt, you go to the emergency room, and you go in there and then you swipe the card, they say, we don't take that insurance, and then it's all out of pocket.
No, well, emergency room's covered on any insurances anyway, usually as long as it's a true emergency, right? But that's going to be with United Healthcare. You're just using the Visa card. It's not insurance. The Visa card is not insurance. That's just to pay the bill. Just like your HSA, if you've ever heard of HSA card or your check card. It's just a medically loaded card with the deductible out of pocket. So this your deductible is $5,000. They're going to put $5,000 if it's just you and your card plus you're out of pocket. And you use that to pay for the services.
Is this network throughout the United States? Say you go on a trip, you're in Alabama, you have an accident,
Yes, ma'am.
you're in the hospital, it'll be covered.
Yes, ma'am. Here with United Healthcare, it's their national network. It's not just Texas, right?
Okay.
It'll work real similar to the way your Blue Cross works, your network.
Okay.
How long is this good for?
The rates are good for 12 months, so a year.
The other one's 2, this is 12.
That was 2, this was 12, yes, sir. There would not be, if the county considered to move this, there would not be as much disruption, if any, especially with pharmacy and all that kind of stuff, because United Healthcare Network is going to be a lot larger than Curative. You're not going to have your limitation in pharmacies that you do with Curative. But Curative's quote is exceptional, so you got to take the good with the bad sometimes too when you're considering this kind of stuff, right? Because it does cost money. But overall, if you're just looking at how much money we're saving the county a ton of money, but the individual out of pocket in this scenario is substantial because 85% of your population is $2,500 deductible, right?
And that's on which one?
That's on Blue Cross, that's on the middle plan. Yes, ma'am. I just use that because we're pretty much everybody's enrolled.
So if they went with that $5,000 deductible, you put 5,000 on that card. If they went with the family, you
Yeah.
put the 10,000 on there?
Yes, ma'am. It's fully loaded. Yeah, so if you see this right here, the out-of-pocket deductible really doesn't even matter. See the out-of-pocket $6,350, and the family's $12,700, that card would be loaded with that yellow amount for both. Okay? Again, and that employees need to try to stay in network, but that's how it works. And there's some additional benefits to the card as well. And just while we're talking about it, let's get back a couple pages. See this page right here? Big bill, lovely numbers, we can all read it on this one.
No.
All right, so this is the breakdown of how this works. This is what they sent us. I want to explain to you so you understand how it works. This first column is the premium for the UHC plan. That is just the United Healthcare plan. That has nothing to do with the Visa card. Their underwriters create this reserve, which is a reserve funding that they build into one tier, which is the tier rates that are all together on this first page. Okay? What they do is they create a funding amount, and it's calculated throughout the year, it's guaranteed. So what it is at the end of the year, if y'all don't use all the money that they're expecting you to use, the county gets to get 100% credit for that for the next year. Get the premium. They can keep that, or they get 2/3 at the back of the check. You roll it into invoice credit, or you get 2/3 at the back of the county of the check. Okay, that's just an additional benefit, and they've got technology to track it year-round. They look at utilization, they look at population, they know what to expect, and they, based on all the groups they have across the country. And this group, in nonstop, was brought to us by the Community Action Agency, which is Health Point. Y'all familiar with Health Point, all the medical clinics? They're recommended by the Texas Association of Community Action Agencies and across the country. So that's one of the reasons they were brought to us. And the numbers don't always work, right? But in this case, they work. So you can see that's the reserve. These two are their fixed costs, and that creates all the way over there on the left. All the three fixed costs create that rate, that 850 rate. That's calculated on that other page that I showed you, right? So it's a unique solution. What they believe and why gap plans and non-stop plans like this believe is they know 10 to 15% of the population is probably going to hit the deductible or out of pocket at the most in a year, right? And that's going to change every year. So what happens is the price gap from at a carrier level, even it doesn't matter which one you go to for the most part, from a $500 deductible to a $5,000 deductible is really substantial. They believe they can buy back the difference with a lot less exposure because they don't have the unlimited out of pocket. You know what I mean, that they would have to pay. Because once you get outside of that deductible, United Healthcare pays 100% everything anyway and out of pocket. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody? Sort of.
So this is like a supplement to United Healthcare? Is that a way to think
Sort
about
of,
it?
that's right. Except instead of having to worry about filing a card and paying a doctor for the visit, you got to worry about insurance. It's not. You just got to load the Visa card. You just pay for the services. You know what I mean? It takes a little bit of the pain in the rear out of it, but it's put that way.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, the only time that you would ever have any issue, not that you would have any issue anyway, it would be no issue, but if people try to abuse it and go get stuff that they shouldn't and try to use the card wrong, it's going to flag or it's not going to flag. But they're going to know they can't go to Empowerment Med in College Station and go get the Botox or that kind of stuff. It's got to be approved by the plan to be paid for. I'm just using that as an example. You know what I mean? That's an example, or whatever it may be. That's not medically approved. It's not going to pay for it. Okay.
And on this right here, your medication, we can go to any local pharmacy we want.
Yes, sir. Should fit with United Healthcare. And it's one I can call each one of them, double check and send it off to you, but I believe that it's gonna be all the hospitals at College Station, Waco, Glasgow, all those are in that work. It's the same company and their largest network that the state has for years. So you've got basically, you got Blue Cross, probably the largest. Then you've got Cigna, United, and all those guys that are underneath them just a little bit. Those are the largest carriers in the country. So, you know, if you do get money back, great. I would buy it because of that. I would buy it for the total package of what it provides for your employees, giving everybody less out of pocket, better benefits, for less money for the county and for them. And if you do get money back, well, great. You know what I mean? That's kind of how we look at it, right? Any questions on how that works? The estimated, they run an estimate on this. It's just an estimation on what it would save employees out of pocket during the year based on this plan versus that your current plans. The estimated savings about 164 grand just in medical usage. Okay, and it's in your packet.
For the employees.
On the employees. Okay, that's the estimation. You know, it'll be based on average utilization for a group your size. Okay, that's considered deductible out of pocket.
That's it right there.
Yes, sir. So,
What are the chances of the rate going up next year? Will we, if we get in arrears, I mean, just, I mean,
you talk about with, like, especially, I don't believe, you know, the nonstop rate probably wouldn't change, but let's talk about the United Healthcare rate. It's at 601, so, you know, I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen a lot of different scenarios, whatever, which way. In Orlando, I've talked about this. The PAC does have solid renewals, and they do have their pool and that kind of thing, right? But, you know, I'll give you 3, 4, 5 counties as an example that I've worked with for the last 10 years, okay? Let's say, for Hill County's 5 years, I can't say 10 on that, but 5 years. I have not had lessons, we've moved a couple times, but I've never had less than single-digit increases, and this year I delivered them a 5% decrease on their current benefits, right? Not to say that that happens all the time. In United, if you run well, then you're probably going to get a decrease or a small renewal. If you run really, really bad, then we'll be going out to market with the same thing, and if we might be going back to PAC the next year. You never know. If you decide, I'm just saying, if, right? I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just saying if you decide to do that. But the market's changed so much for the last 15 years, it's really hard to say exactly what your renewal will be based on the data, right? But what we do is we market it out 150 days, we make all the carriers, you know, market it without, or give us a price without the renewal. Because the market is, because renewals will be generated, they'll throw a dart out there. I'll just give you an example. Madison County, they had a significant increase, probably around 13%, right? Well, after negotiations in the market, I just got them back yesterday to -6. So they dropped it 20% just based on competitive data. That, you know, don't always happen like that, but that's just an example of where it's at, right? And so we use our negotiations with the largest independent agency in the country. We look at all the claims utilization, we look at what's going on, and find ways to do what's best for the county, not what's best for us or the insurance company. If that makes sense, right? Based on what's going on. So we use our leverages to do that. And some, you know, you never can be 100% that it's going to be X or X or X. I can't tell you that. But I can tell you we'll do everything we can to get the renewal really competitive going forward. But you also got to remember too, if you're raising $947 and your United Healthcare rates is $600, 10% on 600 is less than like 3% on 900, right? So there's some of that. And the other side of that is, by going to this plan, if you decided to do that, you've got a higher deductible. Well, United Healthcare is not paying any claims until they get to $5,000, right? It's not on their, it's contract rate. They're not paying any claims. They're tracking it, run through their contract. But the car is basically paying for all that money. And so in a year, it's going to make a claim that'll make you look more attractive in the following year based on your data. There'll be a few people get shop claims. You may have some large claimants or whatever it may be. But all of the middle stuff, United Healthcare wanted to pay for what we're paying for now. And they'll track all that data and see what it looks like, 120 days, 150 days out there. So that's the concept behind it. And it's worked well, and really well in other counties, and we've had there's different products like this. And it just depends on which product makes the most sense per county, and we look at all the different scenarios. Does that explain that well enough for everybody? This is a great question. But yeah, feel free to ask me anything that you can think of to the best you can answer.
Now, I know on the security, the question was about getting the medication, but how much, if I'm recalling, I think he said that it would save the county a tremendous amount of money. Did he, y'all have a figure on
You
that?
can just put it this way, on the curative, I believe the rate is $685, and that's for the 2-year rate guarantee, it's $689 for 1 year, so I don't want to, I wouldn't choose that, I would say $685. So you basically can take nine, whatever y'all decide, it was $895 last year, but from current, $895 from $685 is $200 an employee. You can times that by 88 employees, and you can roughly do the math on that, right?
Actually, we have closer to 100, I think, don't we? Employees, maybe we got that right?
Well, as far as what's Comm,
On insurance.
yeah.
Well, we have, if you look at that one, it says 88 on one plan, and then I think it's 79.
I believe there's 88 enrolled. I don't think everybody, I believe there's 88 enrolled.
Okay.
That's what I'm, based on the census data, I believe we have.
That's it, here's your, it's right there.
Okay.
730 plus
Okay.
735.
So it is a good offer. Again, it takes a little bit of education and some changes. Like I said,
Yeah, 176,000.
Yeah. That's what I got.
and that's from current. That's right. That's from current rates. Not from renewal would be over 200. Yes, ma'am. And then from current on the United Healthcare for the county is about $72,000 from the renewal from the 918. But I didn't know what to calculate it at because y'all are at 895 currently. If you're going to do the same thing, it'd have to go to 947. So I just kind of took something in the middle because I didn't know where y'all want to go. Okay. But it's excellent options. That's what happens when you go out to the market. You look at it. Everything's changing every year. Some people are aggressive every year. It just depends. But, and I can have
United Healthcare was 9 point.
say it again.
United Healthcare was 9.
Well, the combination is for the employee only is $850 versus your renewal for the, I just use the middle plan. There's some people on the more expensive ones, but the middle one's where it plays that's in 918.
48, that's 748.
So, either way, it's an excellent option. Both of them are. If you want less interruption, if you decide to move it to United Healthcare, we give you a lot less interruption and savings and a richer benefit, right? It's not as big a savings as the curative, but the curative would be some getting used to it. But there'd be some people kind of missing. So, all especially pharmacy.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
birds, really.
I know how it is. I mean,
You don't know how to.
They keep being, I pay it myself.
But it's a lot of money. So, it's a good benefit. Either way, if they do it, they're supposed to, it's richer benefits for this kind of thing.
Fantastic.
So, anybody else out there got any questions?
Y'all have any questions? Does that mean y'all understand everything? I want somebody asking questions.
Only thing I would add is somebody getting insurance, is the consistency. I hate to see it start just changing, all the time. Man, sometimes it takes 3 or 4 phone calls with your insurance just to get things straight, and so, I would like to see if we do change or whatever, to at least stay with it for a few years, because it's a headache dealing with insurance, man.
I can answer your question on that. So the nonstop compare with any insurance company, doesn't matter. So that necessarily doesn't have to change no matter which way we go. It all makes it with math and how it works out, right? United Healthcare, what we do is we go out and look at the whole market and make everybody compete against each other, okay? And that's what, just like in the business world, that's what you do. Sometimes it works, most of the time it works out really nice, okay? But if somebody's coming in substantially better, the price reset, groups look totally different from one year to the next. Your claims will be awful this year and really good next year. It all depends, but it's all about what's best for you. And like in this situation, if you stayed where you were, let's just say the county kept paying $8.95, and you're, I'm just gonna guess, you're on the middle plan, maybe the $2,500 plan. Well, if they paid $8.95 to $9.18, you're gonna have to pay, let's see, 18 and 5, so $23 out of your pocket of check with a $2,500 doctor going $43.50 out of pocket. If they move to this, it's actually saving them money, so they get to choose what they want to do with that money or not. So it doesn't cost you anything, and it, that $2,500, $23.50, you don't have to pay for it. So it's, you know.
No, I get that part.
Yeah.
It's dealing with the insurance companies. I get the part of saving money. I'm all about that.
You'll actually you'll deal with ANCO more than you'll deal with the insurance company. Okay, so you'll call us. We're not going to change. They'll do all your internal account manager. It's a great question. I appreciate you asking that. You have an internal account manager. If you, let's say you got a claims problem. Let's say you've got some kind of issue. You'll talk to her. So probably get a PHI form will allow her to communicate on your behalf. We'll work with the EOBs and find out what's the problem is. Like somebody will file an MRI when they was at a cold. We have, you know, ladies at the front desk at all these doctors' offices do things that they just people, you know, it's human error. But they'll run through all that and help make sure the claims negotiations are correct. Okay. If you need to make a change or you're at the doctor and you need a tip ID, you just call us and we'll send you one immediately right there. Or we'll call the doctor, communicate on your claims on your behalf, and make sure you have all the data that you need. Okay. That's on our end. That doesn't really have anything to do with United Healthcare or nonstop, if that makes sense. Okay. That's what we're paid to do. And besides all the marketing. Okay.
So question for you, did you say y'all represent Hill County?
Yes, sir.
And how long have y'all represented them?
4 years.
How many times, in that 4 years, how many times have y'all changed insurance companies?
Twice.
So in 4 years, y'all changed to two different.
But it's an improvement every year. So I wasn't involved actually when the very first switch, when they left TAC, I was not there. They went with a different broker, and it was a bad situation. They went to a Navigate HMO plan, which would be I would not recommend that. Anyway, let's just say that's where they were. So they brought me in at the time to solve the situation. We got them back from a $2,500 to a $500 deductible out of pocket with Aetna, where they were there for 2 years, and then we moved from there. We've been with Blue Cross now for 2 years, and we've got a 5% decrease, but we also saved them $800,000 in the first year. So I'd love you to call the judge and talk to them about it, because we completely changed where they're at. If you count what we probably saved them over 4 years, it's a crazy amount, and the benefits are better than they were 5 years ago. And in this market, trend itself is 9 or 10% probably when you say what it does.
I think we're seeing more like, I think 12, 15.
So it's a trend, that's just trend. It doesn't have anything to do with utilization, that doesn't have anything to do with your demographics, that's just trend. And for all these counties we've been that we represent, we're substantially underneath that. If not, we've got decreases on average over the last 5 years, but it all depends on data, it depends on use, and all, there's a lot of moving parts to that. Okay.
Okay, when Brian first came, he said, if I can't save you money, you don't owe me a dime.
Yes, sir. You don't have, all our money.
If you save us money, where are you?
It's already all in here.
Okay.
So the county has there's no other money in here for ANCO. ANCO gets paid commission directly from the providers. So whatever that is, that's in there. And it's not counting the stuff that, I didn't even talk about the stuff that you're getting on top of it. You'll get electronic enrollment support that we'll provide at no cost. You get our access to our risk attorneys, you get access to our administration, everything that you'll get, HR support, all at no cost. Okay? That's just an included part of our packages for this size of client. It will come out through the open enrollments. You have EDI fees set up with these carriers. We'll take care of the fees on that. We'll sit down with every individual, walk them through their enrollment, show them a full payroll deduction to make sure they're okay with it, because we know how people do it open enrollment. We'll sign for all this stuff, and then I'll go sign up for too much stuff, and I don't like it. So we'll make sure everybody understands that and is approved with that. And we'll have everybody with their benefits going forward. Everybody has all of our cell phone numbers, and ANCO, I'm a broker, right? but I do just as much servicing as I do selling. So does Brian, who I've been talking to, and Scott, and everybody else, because we're the only agency that's grown at 30% through COVID because of our model. We don't believe that a broker can understand a client if they're not servicing the account with marketing, right? You gotta work it year round, and that's the difference between other shops. And so we grew all internal without purchasing anything. It's just growth in general, since we're the largest independent agency. Okay. So that's just a little bit of background on this stuff that you're gonna get, and it's more in depth, way more in depth than that, but we'll help with anything that you can possibly think of.
Daniel, just reading the statute, since you brought that up, just reading the statute on that, I thought the statute said, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not sure I fully understand it all, but I thought the statute said that we have to negotiate a fee directly with you and that you can't get a fee from the insurance companies. Is that not correct?
I don't believe it reads that way. I believe you can choose your broker, and then I'm not an attorney either, so I don't want to be wrong.
What statute is that? Is that one we read?
I think so.
And we can do consulting agreements, and we can remove commission.
I'm just making sure we're on the,
Do you have a statute number again?
I'd have to go down and get it.
I'll look it up again.
Every county functions differently on what they decide, how they interpret the rules. I'll be honest, it's not my job to tell them how to interpret those rules. But I know there's a bunch of counties that's how it works, the same way that it's quoted right now. And that's how they did all of those. And you may be happy to talk to them. And I handle Florida, Texas Council of Government, I handle Brazos Valley Council of Government, California, I handle all those personally. Okay. So it works out in your favor, to be honest with you, in the commission world, because in negotiations, it helps out. Let's just make up a worst case scenario, and I don't need to say all this, but let's say next year we got a 8% renewal. Let's make this up, okay? Right now, there's X amount of commission in the United Healthcare business. I believe it's around 4%. I'm not sure if Brian's quoted all this, but let's just say it's 4%. So we've got 8% renewal. We'll work negotiations with the underwriters. After we get the marketing and get the price back right, we can cut commission, and they'll, most of the time, they'll help match that with the underwriter. So let's say we cut 2, they give us 2, right? That works in your favor on years going forward. Not every carrier do that, but most all the carriers in the open market will do that, okay? Now, because I've done it for 18 years. So it works in your favor, because all these carriers are used to bidding, or not bidding, I said proposals with commissions already built in. So it doesn't, after 1 year of consulting agreement, in my opinion, that's the only year you save money, because from then on, it doesn't do you any good, okay? Because you're paying that money out of pocket. And I don't believe that's, for 18 years, that's the wrong way to do it, unless somebody's just requesting it. Okay, it doesn't work out financially for the employer, anybody. Okay. Well, I'll be happy to answer as much you think if you throw at me. I'm happy to answer whatever you can.
All right, we have, you requested the person from PAC to be here today. Would you like to ask anything?
Just, I'd like for you to explain about what kind of coverage we got now.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, my name is Orlando Espinoza. I'm your employee benefits consultant with TAC. Want to thank you for your long tenure with TAC. So I'm just here to just kind of go over what we bring to the table. You know, obviously Daniel's brought a lot of great quotes for you guys. You know, we love it. We love that you guys have the ability to check the market, do what's best for the county. At the end of the day, whatever the county decides, we stand by. We are your association regardless. Okay. So the couple things that I wanted to touch on were so a couple things that I, based off of the information that was brought to you. One of the biggest things that I want to talk about is the pharmacy. So we're talking about disruption, the formulary. You know, we moved over to Navitas a couple years ago, and if you remember, there was probably some good, headaches and people changing medications and whatnot. However, all those headaches, what they did was they allowed us to reduce our pharmacy costs by 30%. So essentially, what could happen is moving to another company, you get this more open formulary, you're recovering higher cost drugs, that's going to bring your loss ratios up. That's just kind of what we see in the market is our formulary is a little bit more restrictive, it's generating more people, pushing them more towards lower cost drugs. That's saving money in the long term in terms of the pharmacy costs. So that's something that I would consider. And if Daniel has any insight on kind of how that would look I'm open to having him discuss that, but that's definitely one of the things that I would strongly say. They may get those medications that they want, however, those may be those high-cost drugs that may creep your numbers back up.
No, I agree. The United's formulary status is probably going to be larger, so you'll have access to more drugs. Your employees will have access to more drugs, right? Could that increase costs? Possibly. But you're already offsetting, I think the offsetting to the high deductible versus where you are now, claim that's going to offset anything that you would have to worry about in the pharmacy. If, like I said, if you decide to go that way, I don't believe that overall the math's going to work out that much unless you get like a hemophiliac or somebody like that on the plan, right? Well, that's going to that blows anybody's stuff up. But other than that, with the data that you've got right now, I don't necessarily see that much of an increase in pharmacy utilization on pricing. It could be some, but I see that decreasing in the deductible and out-of-pocket increasing with United and using the combination, if that's what you got there. Okay, that's my opinion. And just I want to say, Lando's a great guy. Known him for a while, and he worked real hard, so he's a great guy. So I got nothing bad to say about him. Okay.
Well, some of the other things that I really want to talk on is the value that we've brought. Looking at, so you guys are sitting at, for the last 48 months, you guys are sitting at 103% loss ratio. So that means that we've lost about 3% if you're going dollar for dollar. Our targeted loss ratio is 94%. So that means we build in about 6 cents per dollar to pay for the administrative cost of running the pool. Dan can correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the carriers out in the market, their targeted loss ratio is about 85%. So
it is. I agree with you on that, but I don't want to get it. Anyway, it just depends on the math and what it works out, because y'all are paying first dollar claims on co-pays, and you're getting some people on $500 deductible, some people on $2,500. All that math is there in the ingredients. It'll just be really hard to be what's right because you've got a high deductible. If you choose it, it'll be with a high deductible. Yeah. Right? And so unless you've got an actuary in here, and I work with independent actuaries all the time, that math difference between the 5 and the out-of-pocket of $6,350 versus $2,500, you do that per person, that's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And so there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Essentially, the big thing is, your average renewal with us is about 5.4% over the last 4 years. So that's a very low renewal over time. And we always talk about he's talking about resetting the rates and whatnot. It's hard for us to reset your rate when you're running at higher than what we want you to. If you guys had a string of years where you were running really well, it would be very easy for us to come back and say, okay, instead of your employee-only rate being at $900, we can bring it down to, like, let's say $800 or something like that. Because then we see, okay, you guys are running well, so it's easier for us to do that. That's why it's a lot harder for us to come down on our rates, because we do pride ourselves on that stability and being able to keep you guys at a level where, we understand any increase is an increase for you guys. We know that better than anybody else out there. We work with only counties, so we understand how much of an impact even a 5.4% increase can have on a county. So we try to keep you guys there, and we don't want to take those big swings to, disrupt, we don't want to have a 20% increase ever. And for the past couple of years, we haven't had over a 10% increase for any groups. So that's really the meat of what we focus on, is the value that we're able to provide with the stability in the market, knowing that the cost of care just keeps going up and up and up. And obviously, with AMCO, they're going to be able to market it every year, negotiate it with you guys. As Sheriff mentioned, the stability of staying with one carrier, and the stability for your employees to be able to have the same doctors, same formularies, all that stuff. I just wanted you guys to factor all that into that. Other than that, I just want to say, we do appreciate everything, all the relationships that we have with you, and so whatever decision you make, we will stand by you, and any questions that you have, we're still here for you as a resource.
How many of the 254 counties do y'all have?
185. And one last thing, I didn't want to mention. We also did, in the proposal, we did include, so you have your renewal that came out before the RFP, but then during the proposal, we did also offer an alternate, a couple of different alternates. we offered two plans instead of 5. One at the, let's see, it was the 1,400, which I believe is the 2,000 deductible. And what we did with that one is we actually, your current plan has a $250 pharmacy deductible on that one. On the proposal, we actually dropped that deductible completely. So you have 0 deductible, so you just pay your copays on that. And that rate, actually, we brought it down to $933 for the employee only, for the better plan, one of the better plans that you have, not just that middle plan. And then we paired that with a high deductible plan to offer 2 options, so that way, if, the big thing that we see is, obviously, if you guys are going to fund the better plan, you have this other plan that's going to be more affordable for people. So if they want to add their families, a lot of times, you have the jailers, the young people who come in who aren't making a whole lot of money, who really can't afford the premium benefits and can't afford to pay for the family coverage on these very, very good plans. So you come in with one of these high deductible plans that obviously it's more out of pocket, but for those younger families, they're not too worried about the deductibles because they're more worried about the copays and being able to, get care for their kid if they get sick. Instead of paying a $500, medical bill out of pocket, they're only paying, let's say, $40 for a copay for those kids, and they're not really worried about those high deductibles because they just want to know that their family's covered. They're covered for those annual visits, for those sick visits, on all that kind of stuff. So I do want you guys to just look at that and just look at the proposal. We did offer that dual plan option instead of the 5 plans, that we did give you guys some breaks on the rates and a little bit better plans as part of that as well.
Not the other plan, I'll just use your current plans that you had, yes, ma'am. But I use a $918 rate instead of $933 rate.
And it's not,
I don't see that on here.
it's not on here. That 933 is not on here, so that second one.
Yeah.
Y'all's renewal was 933.
Yes, so on the alternate that we proposed in the proposal that we submitted was, it's the 1,400 plan, which is a $2,000 deductible. It is $933.56 for the employee only. And then it's paired with our 4,000 NGS, which is a $4,000 deductible, and that is at $819 for the employee only.
What's the out-of-pocket on 3,000?
Out-of-pocket is 4,000.
4,000?
Yeah, so 6,000.
It's not, so they have 957.
Yeah, I think, because there's 957 is the number that's in the.
918. I use 918 to run my calculations because I didn't know if it, because we were going up 895, which you did last year, and so I didn't want to run know what the county was going to contribute on top of what they had to contribute on top of that. To stay relevant to where they were last year, they'd have to go to 947 to have that $29 spread, right? But at 933 on a 2,000, that's going to make all of my savings numbers actually go higher than what I'm showing you. Okay, so that's because I'm running it off of 918, which is a less spread than what you've got now, and it's just on that middle plan. So to go to, now, if you're at a $2,000 plan versus $0 plan, so if it's pulled apples to apples, you'd almost have to show a 0 deductible, 0 out-of-pocket plan, and that plan's going to be, what do you think, $1,300? Something like that. Something variable. To big apples to apples. Because we're talking about, a few dollars in a rate, but we're not necessarily talking about crazy plan designs, right? And this is all whatever y'all decide is best for the employees of the county and for the county. But if we're looking apples to apples, we've got a 0 out of pocket for the individuals versus a $2,000 out of pocket, one at 933 and one at 850. So it's a pretty good price spread. So that's $80-some a head now versus I was showing less than that. So either way, it's good. It's a great scenario for the county. Either way, with whether you stay with tax, whether you go with us, or whatever it works, you've got some really good options on the table. It's a lot of information too. I know it is. It's tough. There's not the only decision I think, it's a lot of savings, that would cause the most bellyache would probably be curative, even though it's a ton of money, just because there'd be Comm. I don't think there would be as much with United Healthcare. The United Healthcare combination with the nonstop would probably be way less issues. This is just me being as open, but it's a lot of money. And 2 years of rate guarantee on top of that. So you're really saving on that plan too. I don't know, we have $1 million somewhere there over 2 years. But it's going to cause some issues like local pharmacy. I believe that would be that would cause some issues. So, but the other option with United and nonstop is a great option too. It's just what y'all personally prefer as a county.
And the United nonstop is with the card.
Yes, ma'am.
So the employee never has to pay anything.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am. As long as they stay in network, right? You want them to utilize the network, which is their largest network. So it's a really nice plan. Yes, ma'am. They're excellent with municipalities, governmental agencies, and stuff that people that have rich benefits. In the corporate world, people have got $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 deductibles already. So sometimes the math doesn't make sense in that scenario. And then if you don't utilize it as much, possibly you get some money back. But that's not why you purchase the combination. You know what I mean? You can purchase it for where it's at right now.
So the United with nonstop is $850 versus the $933.
Yes, sir.
I like to visit with my employees and some of the other people in the county that are on the insurance and see if do they want to ride my head and get a prescription if they ever see a kid.
I'm not for that.
Well, I'm not either,
Curious, I mean,
but it's a lot of money.
A lot of them are out of town when they're going to the doctor though too. So we pick it up.
Yeah, but I bet some sick kids in the middle of the night, it sure was nice to go down there and Warren Gary and get it at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I don't care anything about going like
Well, they're not a taxpayer, so it's not county. What's the difference in the money, though?
What's the difference?
I know he figured it. Why?
$88 a head, $88 per, $83 per person.
And that 1,400, that's actually a step up from where we got.
Yeah, that gives us a better plan for,
Yeah, I mean, if you want to look at it, I mean.
yeah, that's a better deal than ours.
Yeah.
And the $895 included the dental, so,
Then you would have to add whatever the dental costs, $25 or so onto that to equal to where you're at now in contribution, right? That's why I was using 918 to 947, just talking points. So you'd have to go 933 plus $29 more to get to where your contribution is at now, and that would be the actual price break. So 933 plus 29, that'd be what, 961. What is that? It's 961 would be roughly that same 895 you're paying right now to get to the same benefit for where you have for the 62. There you go.
so what I figured out when we first got the renewal was it was gonna be a $48.94 difference for the renewal versus what we had last year through TAC, so $48.94 is what I figured.
Right, I'm just talking about from where the United number is, not versus where you would be. So you have to add the extra 850 to get to that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Because United zero deductible was at 850 employee, whereas now the renewal for that particular plan is 918, which he's saying you got a better deal with the 933, but that doesn't include the dental. So you'd have to go 933 plus the 20 whatever some dollars,
and then bring it back to that 850 when you're making the right decision, I guess, if that's what you.
Their quality, if they have the choice between a no deductible, because they're not worried about what we're paying per month. I don't think most of the employees are, although it is taxpayer money we have to think about, but, you know, the no deductible, would be something that you might want to talk to them about. Is that what you're saying?
There's no deductible, but they also have the card.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that is the no
That
deductible
is
one
the
I'm
no
talking about on United Health.
Plus you use your local pharmacy.
nonstop.
Plus you use your local pharmacy on the United Health.
That's disruption in services.
Yes,
That's disruption.
way less disruption. Yes, sir. It's their largest network in the country that we're proposing on that particular plan.
And that 850 includes the debt cover, that'll cover the debt.
The 850 does not have the dental in it.
So to get what we're talking about, we gotta
Add the dental back in.
so you gotta add the debt back in, so that would put us not at 850, but at 8.
Whatever that is, 78. We're not 8.
Well, that was your dental?
What we were talking about for insurance.
There is dental in there.
Dental is so the Sun Life was the cheapest dental.
Yes, sir. They would do it to, I'll tell you the exact dollar on the dental.
2657 on the Guardian or 2634 on the Sunlight.
Yeah, it would go to 2634 was the Sun Life. So it's a little less than 29, so it was off $3.
Can we get vision on the tab?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's in here.
It's always here.
Is it in there?
Well, so you
Yeah,
got
29, it's 2904 with tax.
The renewal went down a little bit to 26, something like
I'm
that.
saying, the amount he was giving us on here,
What on there?
the dentist not on the list. So the dental, all the United didn't have it in there.
Yeah, so if you, so comparing apple, I mean, the 850 was without dental and 933 was without.
It's without.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanna make sure
Yes,
we're,
no,
you
you're
know.
right. You're
Both of them
right.
without.
The only thing is you got $2,000
Okay.
first time. We got that.
Yeah, I was just making sure what, you know, what numbers we were.
And on the tax renewal on the dental, it's at,
Tax dental went to, tax dental on the renewal went to 2598.
and you're currently paying
2904.
2904.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
And then the quote, the federal quote that came in on the dental,
36 cents difference.
20, yeah, there you go. Yep, you got it.
Changing the subject, going to the emergency medical transportation.
Yes, sir.
Is that ambulance only?
No, sir, it's a voluntary product. I'm assuming that Brian pointed through all, it's called MASSA. It's in a bunch of counties all over the place. There's two options. We have it at ANCO for our employees as well. And if you're looking at this, that sheet right there, you've got, there's a basic option, and then there is a, you know, all pays for everything. It doesn't matter what network, what provider, anything like that. Like I have a skin and apparatus, you hit a tree, broke your neck, got life flighted, and had 2 surgeries, and bills. Because without it, you're gonna get an in-network reimbursement from the carrier, right? And so then you gotta negotiate with Lifeline, because most Lifelines are all out of network, unfortunately, in ambulances. And so you gotta negotiate with that, and their charge is $46,000, and they got $6,000 for withdrawals. So that picks up the difference. If you're on the premium plan, if you're on the base plan, it picks up a certain, I think there's 4 things listed there that are at the top. You got to put on the last to read that.
And is this amount, it says, like a platinum is $39, is that a month?
Yes, ma'am.
A month.
I personally have my family on the station. It's at 14, I believe. And that's a voluntary. That's voluntary, doesn't have anything to do with the county, but it's a neat product to have, pair with any medical plan,
So
whether
if we already had air evac, and then we got this plan in addition to that, then it doesn't matter if air evac's got a helicopter to take it or not, if UT sends one, this picks up the difference.
There's just a difference, yes, sir. Especially on that last one, you take our off, yes, sir.
But if it's,
I think it was employer paid, it's $11. If the county pays for it, I believe it's $11 on the sheet, but we quoted it as voluntary, just a voluntary product.
yeah, $11. Would be that amount, not very
I think you have to have a membership within air evac for this to work, right?
No, this was, it works with all of them. It doesn't, it's not like there's some that have, that just work with this particular area, right?
Right.
That's not
And that's
the
what
case
we've been
here.
looking at, so that's why I'm asking.
No, this works with any.
So $11 per employee per month.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And then we would use air evac, but our insurance would pay for that.
That's correct. Yeah, it's gonna pay for any, it doesn't matter if the network, it's not a network with this, okay? And while we're talking about area back, there's something that I want to bring up, it's not in this, that we do for our employees at ANCO, just something that we need to consider. But we have something that, we have a separate telehealth package that, through new benefits, that we can get for like $7 or $8 an employee. That would allow everybody 24-hour access. They already have that through the United Healthcare withdrawal. So there, the people that aren't on the plan and their families, they can put on there for that same $8. They don't want to pay for dependent coverage, to be on the plan. That same $8 they can get on, they get 24-hour access to telehealth services for free, and they call it a prescription at the pharmacy. We do that for our employees, because I don't know about y'all, my kids get sick every Friday at 5 o'clock. That's what they always get sick. You know, a lot of times family cures and stuff like that are expensive, so we provide that there. That's just,
What is that called?
it was through new benefits, and it's a telehealth services and stuff. It would also include RX discounts and stuff like that for those family members that aren't home, especially those that aren't home with plan, right? That can't afford the benefit. And it's through an app. It's really easy on your smartphone.
How much per?
It's around $8. Yes, sir. And also, we able to track utilization, make sure it's paid for itself. Like Brad's Valley Community Council of Government has it as well for their employees. We track every year to make sure that $8 people are utilizing it enough, because it keeps those claims off the plan. Instead of the kid at 9 o'clock, and once you've got the people on the plan, they have that telehealth services, or whether it's with withdrawals or United or whoever, they all got their version of that, right? This is just something for those people to keep completely off the plan, and for other people that are on the plan. Okay, it's a unique deal. It's not gonna pay for a drug, stuff like that, but the minor stuff, big guys, ear infected flu, that kind of stuff, we do those stuff also. And it's free. But again, that's also something we can offer voluntary and not employer paid separate to. Okay.
Let's see, I'm here. Depending on which one you get, plastic or platinum, that covers, hospital to hospital.
It's where most of the mass is the largest area, and it's ground ambulance transportation. This particular product. And most people do it voluntary, they offer it as a voluntary option for their employees. And just so you know, we do this scenario, we do it every year for every one of our clients. Just so you know, we shop everything every year. Does not mean we want to move, because that's what work for everybody, so we do it. We need to talk about a lot of stuff, so I'm gonna make sure I did everything for y'all. And if y'all would like me to come back for another meeting and we'll do it again.
You do a good job.
Oh, yeah. We worked together for a long time. I've been around the county business for a little while. My mom's an auditor, county auditor for 40 years. So that's good at that. Well,
Did you keep tired? I guess he retired after his.
he went back to work. But he wants to work till he's 70. That's what he said.
That's the magic number, 74.
That's what he said.
I'm
I
74.
just figured,
He said
I just figured when you told me about it, I just figured about it.
They don't have to, you know, he's mostly on the computer,
Yeah.
so he don't have to do a whole lot. He don't work at least 4 days. He can handle it. Yeah, you know how it is when you want to retire financially, if you want to keep doing the things you want to do. It's hard, you know, so I think between him and mom, financially, it's working out better for him to stay there. Yes, we're all in that situation, you know, unfortunately. I don't know if there is such thing or anymore. See, like,
This is number 3 on the agenda, and it says award the insurance bids. I think we've heard too much. I don't think I'm ready to make a decision to award it. Me personally, today, I think I need to think about it. What about y'all? I mean, y'all ready? Or y'all can wait?
Gonna talk to your,
I'd like to talk.
My guys love what we got. I mean, that's what they told me. I mean, I asked if we could talk about it, and I just, but
well, like we said earlier, the savings on this is really not to the employee.
right.
It's more or less to the county because we're covering there.
My whole feels,
It is to the employee if we go with the no deductible, but they don't.
because everybody's
Have to
working.
pay anything out of pocket.
It's a big deal. That's a big, it is, any kind of disruption is a big.
I'll tell you the only personal fact that, between the plans, you talk to your guys, there's not much network disruption, or even maybe have a better, more elaborate drug selection on the pharmaceutical side. But if you talk to, when you talk to them, if they tell them you get a zero deductible, not talking to them, pay for anything here, not counting what we're saving the county, that's, let's say that's irrelevant.
Two different acts.
That's a totally different deal.
Yeah.
That's a tough, you know, I mean, personally, I put up on my kids, just because they call me,
But when you get a prescription, you swap that card too.
yes, sir, anything, doesn't really matter, as long as it's paid
That's
for.
what I understood it, that's just.
Exactly, as long as it's paid for by the medical plan, then you can swap your card. That's correct. So it's, the county savings is great, it's really nice, and that's really nice, but the plan itself is also substantially richer. So, when you're talking, consider that, and if you'd like me or Brian or whoever to come back out, or like, I don't know, budget meeting or whatever it is, and we just sit down and make sure everybody completely understands what we're talking about, we can do that, completely walk through it, or whatever kind of meeting you would definitely have to do that. Brian?
Daniel, just to make sure, I think Brian had told us this, and I just want to make sure I understand. On that, with that nonstop, if you currently have an HSA, you no longer can contribute to your HSA, you're done with that,
That's
right?
correct. Well, you wouldn't want to, it's fully funded already anyway, so it wouldn't really do you any good. Does that make sense? So like, what I see in the enrollments that I do with some large companies, especially executive and managers, they all go with this, plan, let's say, okay? And the people that are on the $6,000, $5,000 HSA to save money, they do the calculation, because they're paying the premium, and then they're paying what they're also paying money at that HSA. Health assessment, when they get a fully loaded card, they're not just saving that money, they're saving that HSA money. Does that make sense? So a lot of those people are jumping.
But I just put it in my HSA because it saved me on taxes too.
Well, I know it does, right, but you'll save on this, you won't have to put that money in your deductible. I'm just giving that.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand that.
You can tell me what have to do.
But I was thinking he just said you cannot contribute to HSA.
It's because it's already funded. Again, it's not put in, but it's a fully funded option.
All right, under the United Healthcare Plan.
With nonstop.
Yeah.
Okay, the question is then, if we don't pay any of that, why do we even have a deductible on here? Calendar year deductible under.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
That means there, but, well, I mean, it's got it on this United nonstop health. I may be country in here, but it says.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
We've got it, it says deductible 5,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but there's no out of pocket. So why, I mean, I'm explain that.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Is it?
No.
Because that's how much goes on the card?
That's right. So the card is loaded, you see this yellow card here on the card? You see this out-of-pocket maximum for individual,
Yeah.
6350. Nonstop loads your individual, let's just say it was just you enrolled.
Okay.
It would load your card with 6350.
okay,
Okay? The deductible, the plan is $5,000 and 6350 out of pocket, right?
Okay.
But it doesn't really matter because your full out of pocket is loaded on this card. You may never even get to that 6350. You may never utilize all the money.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But if you
Okay.
did, after you get that 6350, United Healthcare pays 100%. Like, all your preventative care is all
But
covered
it-
100% as well.
yeah.
Does the card work after the 6350?
Doesn't need to. It wouldn't need to. The reason it wouldn't need to is because United Health, you shouldn't have another bill. It makes sense because the deductible and out-of-pocket are fully funded. So the carrier pays 100% of that, right? That's when I was talking about utilization, like, where Blue Cross now pays claims, which you gets to $2,500, right? You're going to co-pays and all this stuff. Well, in this particular situation, I'm here that until 5,000. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's
and
like a
the money on
family.
the card is that, I mean,
It's reloaded every year.
if we, I mean, that's not out of pocket. I mean, it's kind of.
So truthfully, I know this may confuse things anymore, but y'all have a choice whether you want to plan your deductible, which is what you have now, I'm assuming you have to plan your, or count your deductible. And what that means is October 1st, your plan resets, right? Your deductibles and out-of-pocket start over currently. If you chose to counter your deductible, they would give you deductible credit for United through the end of the year and start over January 1st. They would actually, even the card works this way, it's kind of like Jesus a little bit. You know, they would fully fund the card for those 2 to 3 months, and then they would fully fund it again in January to match your deductible out of pocket, because that's the only way that happens. Yeah. Okay? Not saying that's what you need to do, I'm just giving you your options. But even like when you look at this, that's what it'll fund on the family. Anybody that chose spouse, child, or family, it was funded fully out of pocket on that as well. Okay? And I even threw another option on there I didn't talk to you about, but this is a United Healthcare, the same exact network. It just doesn't include out-of-network coverage, and the price drops all the way to $817, but it's their large open access network and it network. So I figured just as far as you would want the biggest, even out of network and everything,
Oh, yeah.
which on the one side it will bring that up, but it doesn't drop the price. That's personally the plan I'm on. But like, for example, even on this, healthcare plan, you get $10 for generic drugs. Well, you just pay $10 and you just swipe your card and pay for it. You know what I mean? It's not like that even goes towards the deductible out of pocket yet. Even though you've got a fully loaded card, it may take a lot of people a long way to get there. So if y'all don't use it, knock on wood, you may get a substantial amount back. And then all we'll do is you have a choice whether to reduce the premiums for the next year.
I'm so confused.
Are you?
Yes, so you do have a $5,000 deductible.
Only,
That means you've got to pay $5,000 out of pocket.
But that's what's confusing, because, I mean, you know, not really, it's not clear. It's not, I say confusing, it's just.
That's what I was talking about, where there's a lot of confusing things that we talked about.
Yeah,
It
it's like-
says that, but you have the card that you swipe to pay for that.
let's just say I gave you.
So you're giving us the money on the card.
All of it,
Yeah.
all up front. So you have no deductible, everything.
Well, see, that's what's going on, because I just paid $2,500 deductible like a week ago on my other insurance.
So you would have just.
Out of
You'd have
pocket,
just been able to swipe the card and then you would have paid anything. Out of pocket.
okay?
Yep. That's what we're talking about now.
So really, there is no deductible.
There, in reality, no.
You
But
don't,
it's,
you don't pay
but
anything.
it's two
Yeah.
different
Okay.
things, right?
Okay.
It's a unique solution. But we're talking about county savings, but to estimate the employee savings out of their pocket like that, you know, it'd be hard to do, but it'd be a lot of money.
So you load the deductible amount onto the card.
We load all the out-of-pocket amount, full
Out of
out-of-pocket,
pocket.
whatever that is. So like, your plan now is $2,500 deductible and then $4,350 out-of-pocket. Let's just make, for example, you stay on that plan, next year starts over, here in a couple months, October 1st, so you have a new deductible out-of-pocket, right? You get a card with all of that loaded on there. In this particular instance, it's $6,355, so you get $6,350 on your card. That's what you would utilize. Does that make
Yeah.
sense? Yes. And this, the bells and whistles as far as the county being able to get some of the money back at the end of the year.
So let me ask you another question.
Yeah.
A family, a husband, a spouse, each one of them will have a card. Yes, there's one card.
No, there's two. You'll get-
Just make sure you don't pass the card.
And you'll get the full family out of pocket, like if it's a child, you know, a child or whatever family, whatever the family out of pocket is, they'll be fully loaded on that. And it'll cross-track with the benefits. The majority of people are not gonna use all of that money. You know what I mean? It's just 10% of the population will, in general, maybe less, maybe a little more. That's pretty standard on a group this size. And I work with groups from 10,000 lives down to 2. So this is the generic, that's the standard, and that's all. But my job is just to educate you the best I can to make sure you make the best decision for y'all. Okay? And y'all can call me on the cell phone, call Brian on the cell phone, we can answer anything out of this. If you don't want to have another meeting, we'd be glad to do it, make sure everybody's coming. Okay?
And I would like to ask
Why
one
do you want
question.
Yes.
not to table it? You want to table it to another meeting?
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
And Orlando could chime in too.
Yeah.
You haven't, any of these plans that you've proposed, they haven't been Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Well, the reason, unfortunately, that when you're with TAC, you can't quote Blue Cross Blue Shield direct. Okay? If you're not with TAC, the next year TAC would get first shot at the quote. And if they don't decide they're non-competitive, then Blue Cross will actually bid it directly.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, and I was just asking, that my question is, because I've had Blue Cross Blue Shield for my family that we pay for out of our household for over 20 years. And the reason for that is what I found early on, and I know a lot of stuff has changed obviously in the last 20 years, but some insurances just flat wouldn't cover as good as others. You know, when the bills start coming in, you have line items, this procedure is not covered, or this extra night in the hospital wasn't covered because of whatever reason. So you have to battle with them. I've never had that problem with Blue Cross Blue Shield. So my question is just simply, could you say, or do you have a feel for these other companies, Aetna's, the other companies discussed, are they going to cover as good as Blue Cross Blue Shield?
So if you want to get into self-insured terms and all the little bitty knickknacks and all that stuff, right, there's probably Blue Cross, and TAC's a little different than just direct Blue Cross, just so you know. They've got different PBMs, they got different ISL, right, that's involved in that. The stuff that you don't see, right, prescription management companies are different. The individual stop loss, the aggregate stop loss that are built in all these plans are different than, say, direct Blue Cross, like you're used to, versus TAC. Okay, so there's some different stuff there. Because TAC uses Prime, and not TAC, Blue Cross uses Prime Therapeutics.
We use Navitas.
You use Navitas. So that PBM, prescription management company, is different, okay, in terms from what you're used to than what the county has, right? But when it comes to all these carriers, you've got your largest carriers in the country, right? So you've got Cigna, Blue Cross, Cigna, United, Aetna. It was Humana, and Humana's gone out of the group business now. And then you've got a bunch of different captive plans, and then they all, like captive, TAC is a captive plan, they all rent networks, okay? So my answer to that is those largest carriers in the world, I mean, like City of Houston was on Cigna for 10 years. The state was on United for 10 years. Could there be a facility or whatever that may be a little different in pricing? Blue Cross may have a 2 to 7% better pricing on an MRI here versus United or a CAT scan here. None of the employees would ever see that. That's if you were self-insured and had to pay everything out of pocket in claims, right? So I don't think there'll be an issue as far as being covered. You'll have prior authorizations that'll need to be done, just like you do. You'll have peer review that can possibly be done on something that's, let's say, an internal person at TAC or Blue or United, that the doctor is not providing the right data to them. And sometimes the doctor's got to get on there and tell them why this needs to be done for an individual. But as far as your standard stuff, it's going to be covered pretty much the same as you've got, okay? I may have took a little bit of an analytical approach to that answer.
Well, I just mean one company to the next.
Yeah.
Are they gonna cover about the same?
Yeah. And
Once you get into the hospital?
And I will tell you, as Daniel mentioned, tax plans, obviously, we're with Blue Cross Blue Shield as our network administrator and all that stuff, but our plan, we build our plans. We go based off their standards. However, we do cover some additional things that your standard Blue Cross plans won't cover. Ultimately, it comes down to our board of directors is all elected officials. It is all county elected officials, so we also make changes and we make upgrades to our benefits depending on what the county's needs are. So as an example, this year we added on our dental plan, we now cover dental implants. We now cover, on orthodontics, we cover adult orthodontics. Those are things that we didn't cover in the past, but were brought up as issues from our members and from our board of directors, and we've upgraded our dental. We've made changes in the past and we've been able to adapt because our board of directors, the ones that make all of our decisions, are people that are sitting at this table, people that that know what the county employees need. And the population of county employees is very different from your average, across the state, across the country, or whatever. So a lot of that goes into the decisions that are made at TAC, and they may not be the best financial decisions, but it's what's best for our members, and that's the reason why a lot of those things go through, is because it is those county officials that make those decisions for us.
Thank you.
Are you wanting to table this to
What do y'all
another
think?
meeting?
I mean, what do y'all think? Y'all wanna make a decision today, or y'all want to table it and look at it?
To me, we've really got one choice. Either stay where we're at, or this, you know what I mean?
Two choices.
We gotta make a choice too. But, this,
I feel like I tell my kids, big one,
I think so too.
they're gonna love it.
My biggest concern is any kind of,
I really just did it.
I don't know.
I'm just gonna say, if y'all wanna talk to
I can talk to
county employees about this,
I think.
I respect that. If somebody wants to make a decision today, I respect that as well. Whatever. I'm good either way.
I said, well, go, because I didn't know which way to not do no thing.
I think I'm okay with making a decision. Whatever y'all want to do. Leave.
Go ahead and make a decision, one of those.
I mean, what do y'all I mean, we got employees out here, I mean, y'all,
That's what I mean, that,
Y'all are
I appreciate
employees.
y'all say something.
Yeah.
You gonna handle it. I mean, no, Jimmy.
Actually, Anco is gonna
I was
handle
gonna
it.
say, and gets it, that it's a lot out of your office, isn't it?
I mean, so far as I think that the way they approached it is that y'all gonna handle open enrollment, y'all gonna handle all of it, so.
Yes, ma'am, we'll build your benefit booklets, we'll handle all your compliance notices, we'll do all your open
If
enrollment.
we have a new employee, y'all gonna come over and meet with them, you're
Yes,
gonna
ma'am.
sign them up, you're gonna make sure they do their stuff, and so it's kinda out of my hands.
Yes, ma'am, and she'll even do all the terms and stuff once you get out of these, I know this is insurance talk, but they'll all be automatic once we get all this past the point of enrollment. So you all have any out fees directly to the carrier for free or cost, to say,
Well, and certainly nothing against TAC and against Blue Cross Blue Shield. Y'all have served us well. But to me, that no deductible for the employees, that everything is paid, I think that's really, what do y'all think? Y'all are employees,
What do you
but
think,
here's
Ed?
something.
Yeah, what do you think? Can you hear me?
She's-
I can hear you.
I think with the no deductible, I think it's worth exploring.
You what now?
With the no deductible, I think it's worth exploring. I really do. That's a big plus for me. And like Andy said, I mean, and like he said, you're gonna have young people coming in that can't afford things and
yes, see, how many we got with families on it? A handful, what's enough?
7 employee plus child, 5 employee plus
30 employee and children.
employee children.
I just remember how it was with kiddos, that's a big thing. Big deal. We don't,
I just remember one time we changed insurance from TAC and it was a total disaster for a year or so. That's what I was told.
It was years ago. We just happened to not have the right person, I think, now.
oh, that was,
If y'all would like, and like to talk to some of the other counties that we handle, we'd love to, for you to make those phone calls, or have them call, we can just set those up. As far as our administrative service outside of all the, what we do, our
As far as, if, that'll be in the next discussion. Go ahead.
whatever y'all want to talk to these people, that's fine. I mean, they run it by mine. But, my gut tells me what they're gonna say. They don't,
I can see
Yeah, I see.
it. Picture.
Is that the one you have to come up and do all the stuff?
You don't have to do anything.
No, it's not.
Open enrollment like we normally do. We didn't pick, I'm sure we're not picking the one that,
well, I just make a motion. And we can move on to something else. The United Health, I mean, with the no deductible.
we get a second.
I'm not on the county insurance, I'm not gonna say it anymore.
Sorry.
Well, you're doing it for your employees. There you go. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, man. If y'all need me, just.
We'll need some other things that we'll need to talk about before open enrollment.
We'll set it in August,
Yes, but you'll get
I mean,
the
y'all be
meeting on
handling
that.
it, so if y'all wanna set different dates or whatever you wanna do,
Well,
you
we
take
did
it
this,
on boys.
when we call you, and then we'll discuss and set the dates, whatever works for you. I mean, we have, and also, we've got much time, we have a lot of, you need those as well. Sheriff's Department, or whatever, we need to say, or whatever we need to do.
I'll
I'll send you, I already set the dates up with the county judge's office, because we have to reserve this courtroom. I'll send you what I have, and then, if y'all need to get with them to get all the boys' emails, you know, email them.
We'll send out a link to everybody,
Okay.
too, as well as this enrollment, I will refer everybody to send out and enroll her into it.
So that's what we have come in on.
Perfect, but I wouldn't do it, let them do it on their own. Not yet, anyway, you know.
I see him at the ball game. Let's go, yeah, let's have a slow break. I'm sorry, let's take a short break.